Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So, some of the news updates we're going to go over for this evening are going to include Trump's very secretive 2-hour call with Putin. I thought that was very interesting. What some of the things they could be talking about to at least get to a peace treaty or ceasefire deal. That way, Ukraine and Russia can basically stop unaliving one another. A terrorist attack at a California fertility clinic shakes what they're saying domestic security. We're also going to go over the one big beautiful bill that clears the House, Biden's prostate cancer, and what people are stating, which is a bipartisan win with the Take It Down Act. Oh, of course, in China and America and everything else in between. So first, I kind of want to go over President Joe Biden, or former President Joe Biden, because he has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has been characterized by a Gleason score of about 9 and the metastasis to the bone. And medical experts, including Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, suggest that the cancer may have been present for up to a decade. Did you guys hear me? That the cancer could have been present for up to a decade, meaning that it didn't all of a sudden just grow. There is some signs or evidence or clues to state that Biden possibly had prostate cancer within the last 10 years. So that could relate to some of his alleged cognitive decline and other ailments that people were stating. So again, this is going to be related to him during his presidency. Also, the lack of earlier decades has sparked debates about transparency and the adequacy of routine health screenings for public officials, saying implying that there could be some sort of impropriety or fraud where they're not doing these very investigative health checks on our public officials, especially in high places like Joe Biden. So again, I can understand the scrutiny behind it because these guys need to be in, tip-top condition. So when they give the report to the American people, you know that he can at least last the 4 years that you guys voted him for. The U.S. Supreme Court has permitted the Trump administration to end temporary protective status for about 350,000 Venezuelans, which is reversing extensions granted by previous administrations. And TPS holders around a lot of the immigrant communities, they're fearing potential deportation and the impact on families who have established lives in the U.S. And the only question I have is potential deportations and the impact on families if they are illegal. Now, in the current administration, if they are legal immigrants, they're to be deported. If they are a legal resident, again, this is the statuses of someone who is a non-citizen. A legal resident, green card holder, visa holder, etc. I think it will behoove people in certain statuses not to speak publicly or to say anything that is anti-American, anything to defame America, because it seems as though the current administration is not taking any anti-sentiments for people who are non-citizens. Doesn't matter if you're a legal resident, doesn't matter if you have a visa, doesn't matter if you have a green card. That is just the current administration. I'm not saying I'm yay or nay, but we have to understand that is where we are. That's the administration. And you being American, freedom of speech and this, that, and the other. Are you a citizen or do you have another status? Because you still have your constitutional rights presently. Okay, presently. So again, 350,000. And don't forget the Haitian community has come out about certain things as well. Haitians, Nicaraguans, They're talking about the impact of the Supreme Court and how the Trump administration can then target other communities, other immigrant communities. Now, it's almost like snitching on yourself. It's like dry snitching on yourself. If other communities are worried about the Trump administration coming to deport illegal immigrants, then what do you worry about? Doesn't that imply that you know friends, family, people you're associated with could be in the country illegally? Because if you wasn't, if you were a citizen, right, or you was a legal resident that then speak anti-sentiments on the internet, then you're like, yeah, you can come to our community. We're not hiding anything. Wouldn't you be more inviting? I get it. I know this current administration is not to be trusted. I would agree with you. But I will also say the last administration should have never been trusted, because when we did trust them, look at the state of the economy now. Look at the state of the economy now. And if that can't tell you anything, then I think you've been blind this entire time. That's the only way that I can really think about that. Now, President Trump held a 2-hour phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I can only imagine what they were talking about, what they were, basically trying to discuss. But the conversation was geared around conflict in Ukraine. Trump spoke with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, while Trump described the conversation with Putin as excellent, and that the sequence of calls have raised questions about the administration's approach to foreign diplomacy and its implication for the U.S.-Ukraine relations. Interesting. That's very interesting. Let me blow this up for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at here. Good evening to everyone who has joined in. If you're new to Black Logic, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you're aware every time I go live or post a video. Thank you for being with me this evening. But I wonder what Putin and President Trump spoke about. Because while Trump described the conversation with Putin as excellent, the sequence of calls have raised questions about the administration's approach to foreign diplomacy. Because why are articles like this now circulating after this meeting? Putin's still in charge. Now, granted, President Trump is just the middleman and trying to negotiate peace, or at least a ceasefire. Very understandable. And I really think that Trump is going to be one of the top finalists of winning the Nobel Peace Prize, because he has a hand in a lot of the conflict that's going on currently, and he's trying to diffuse it. Again, you look at your other political figures, your international figures of peace and humanitarian rights. Anytime they save lives or influence people to save lives, they win the Nobel Peace Prize. But when it comes to Putin, I don't know how wise or how smart Putin is, but I can tell you this. If Putin is devious, anytime someone uses the word devious, that means it's very hard to read that person or to predict what they're going to do or figure out what they're trying to do. That's a devious person. See, a stupid person is very obvious. Think about it. You call somebody stupid, they did something so idiotic that no one would ever do something like that. Like when you call someone a very defamatory name like that, like, you're so stupid. Even though I don't, approve of those words, but when someone calls them, but if he's not intelligent and he's not a 10-step thinker, then Putin is definitely a very devious person. Because it seems as though at every turn, he's controlling every aspect of the negotiations between these countries. A 25-year-old man identified as God Edward Bacchus, he was detained at a car bomb outside the American Reproductive Center facility in Palm Springs, California. And the explosion injured about 4 people and it caused significant damage. Now, a lot of the authorities were writing about Barker's expressions, meaning that he was anti-pro-life. He said a lot of anti-pro-life sentiments, which kind of led the FBI to classify the incident as an act of domestic terrorism. He was anti-pro-life. So he was against abortion laws, basically. Isn't that kind of backwards, anti-pro-life? He's against life. So he wants abortion clinics. And then he just commits a domestic terrorist act. I mean, I had a couple of video clips for you guys, and you'll understand what I'm getting at when it comes to certain communities, not based on demographics, but this certain communities of how people respond to relay their message. Nope, I'll go there. I want you guys to think about something. When a large group of Black Americans feel slighted or feel discriminated upon, you take the biggest one, we can go back from Rodney King, when people started rioting and marching and protesting, to Greg Floyd. That is how a very peaceful people go about protesting to their government of an injustice. Now, granted, people are going to bring up the rioting as if the rioting, the looting, this, that, and the other. Do I believe there were Black people looting? I do. Do I believe majority of Black people who were protesting were looting? Absolutely not. And that goes for all of the destruction of public property that a lot of people knew that Antifa was connected to. But I want you guys to think about that. The Black community, when done wrong on a very large scale, we unite, we band together, and we take it to the street to outcry, to complain, to argue, to express our emotions to the government for change. Show us change. Do something. We want action. Then when another demographic and group of people feel slighted, either individually or as a group, they commit hate crimes. They commit domestic acts of terrorism. They blow up things. They get on a rooftop of a building and start unaliving people. But yet, some people will see us as uncivilized. I think that's very civilized. I don't know. I'm not that smart, but I believe that's civilized. Now, President Trump's comprehensive tax and immigration legislation, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, has passed the House Budget Committee. The bill aims to extend tax cuts in taxes on tips and increase military and border spending. Despite internal GOP disagreement, the bill's advancement marks a very significant step towards achieving key components of Trump's legislative agenda. Now, I haven't read this bill in totality, but a lot of the hallmarks, a lot of the core construction, the bill is actually good. So I hope that they can actually pass that, because I believe that would be a good thing. I do really think that would be a good thing. China. That's the way my wife says it. Nonetheless, the U.S. government has issued guidance warning companies against using advanced computer chips from Chinese tech giant Huawei. Citing national security concerns, China has condemned the move, accusing the U.S. of undermining trade talks and engaging in discriminatory practices. The dispute adds to the growing tensions between the two nations over technology and trade policies. The U.S. really destroyed Huawei because Huawei was going to really take over the phone market in America. I'm not pro Huawei or pro China. I'm 1 trillion% pro America. But when I see things that don't line up, first they started accusing Huawei of having spy technology, and quite frankly, I don't know. But then they started banning Huawei devices, and then you started to see the trend of technology that Huawei started to release. And he was like, wow, that's more advanced than Samsung and Apple or Android, essentially. Um, and now this. China says U.S. undermined trade talks with Huawei chip warning. So Chinese is now accusing America of undermining them by protesting or essentially sanctioning Huawei again. It's like a double-edged sword, so to speak. Let's see what Kim says. Biden cancer cover-up, shaking my head. Why would he cover it up when Biden has been transparent about his family life throughout the years? Like, okay, Kim, I understand what type of I'll just let the cat out the bag. I don't know if you're new here to Black Logic, but I'm not liberal or democratic. I'm not conservative or Republican. I'm not an independent. This is the way how I take in the news. Something that again, maybe people who research public figures because they adorn them, they have some sort of likeness for them, then those people probably would have known that Biden had cancer or prostate cancer, and that could be connected to his cognitive decline. But majority of people didn't know that Joe Biden for the past 10 years possibly could have had prostate cancer. That wasn't public knowledge. So again, I understand, the whole mind virus, they saying the woke mind virus. I don't say those terms because they don't even know the history of the term woke, but I don't say those terms. But the mind virus part, people have political mind viruses. They only see things through a liberal lens. They only see things through a conservative lens. I just see the truth as I see it. And I try to be very unbiased in my take. But I will say, I've always stated that if I had to choose a side, as far as a conservative, not Republican, but conservative mindset, when you look at Black Americans, if you look at our very foundation, you will understand that more than you think, Black Americans are conservative. Again, don't associate that with the Republican Party. I'm talking about the mindset. Nonetheless, I digress. But I do want to show you guys a video here very quickly. This is group of Haitians. I don't know if they're trying to protest here in America. I don't think this is a very good thing for them to do. Okay, I don't think this was good for them to do. I think it's going to put a spotlight on them. Okay, so let me turn this up for you guys so you guys can listen in on this. Here we go. I don't know if you guys agree with me with this, but that looked kind of scary. When Donald Trump brought over the white Afrikaners, that looked kind of scary. When the Biden administration flew over 100,000 Afghans, that looked crazy. That looked scary. When a lot of the Hispanics and Latinos were protesting and marching in the highways of LA not too long ago, that was scary. Haitians running in the street, having a Haitian flag day. And that is in one city. I'm pretty sure people came from other places, but whoever knew that it was that many Haitians in America? Today in my Uber, my driver was Russian. I've met, and then the other day, yesterday, my driver was Pakistani. And these guys are first generation. They just came over here within the past 10 or 20 years. And I started to realize when you have all these people from all these other countries with all of these cultures, what happens to the American culture? Because America has some really good culture as well. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Asian culture. I love taking off the shoes, certain things that they do. But I do love the American culture too. We have a very rich culture here in America. Now, unfortunately, it's all stemming from war or conflict and battles, but we have a really rich culture when you look at again, the bare bones of it. But our culture has changed and it's still changing and is metamorphosized into something that we're going to lose ourselves, I believe, in some regards. Some people are like, no, it's accepting other cultures. I travel, I experience their culture while I'm there. But when I come back to America, I want to experience American culture. And I don't mean the racism or the hate or discrimination, not that part. Okay, not that part. But I want to experience America. People talk to you different, people act toward you different. Is this when you have so many people who are foreign to your land? Yeah, they bring the cool things about their culture, which is great. But when you have very large populations of other people in your country that live there, they start to change your culture. And I know I'm speaking as if that's a bad thing, but what makes a people a people? Some people may say one people, but what makes a people is not your skin color, it's not your race, it's your culture. But again, maybe people look at that very differently than I. All right, last but not least, I want to show you guys this very quickly. And I want your thoughts on it.
Elon Musk does have a security clearance. He has a top secret security clearance. By God, he makes the rockets for NASA. But the suggestion that he somehow can't be trusted to dig into how we're spending our money is nothing but a smokescreen to hide the corruption and the wasteful spending that has occurred there. And I am personally offended at the left's continued references to 19-year-olds and 21-year-olds in there doing work. There are 19-year-olds who have won the Medal of Honor defending this country. Just because you're 19 doesn't mean you're some child who can't be trusted. It is offensive. And if you're 19 years old out there, 20 years old, and you're serving this country, by God, your service matters. Keep serving. We thank you for that. Elon Musk.
So, wow, what are you guys' thoughts on that? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Now, I've covered Elon Musk extensively. And at the end of his whole Deutsch, positioning, what did Elon Musk really do? And I'm not anti-Elon Musk. I'm not pro-Elon Musk. I'm just giving you a fair view of Elon Musk. What did Elon Musk do that was so significant that people will defend him at any cost. Now, granted, let me look at some of the achievements of Elon Musk when it comes to government from what I saw. The sheer exposure of the fraud, waste, and abuse of in America, and the projects that they fund to hide their fraud, waste, and abuse. That was the biggest thing for me that he exposed. Because I always knew that the government, fraud, waste, and abuse all over the place. Been in the military, you see things, you don't say things. You see things and how, we really waste a lot of things. So that wasn't a big epiphany moment. It was just when Elon Musk went in and started to reveal some of the projects that they were funding to hide their corruption. And I was like, you guys are doing a research study on shrimp running on treadmills. You guys are doing a research study of women in Ghana that wear helmets that you're throwing, that they're running into a tree. I mean, this is sheer asinine stupidity of these projects. But my question is always this: who approved these projects? Not the people who wrote the projects, not the people who came up with the project. Who approved it? They're the ones who are ultimately responsible because their approval, their signature is the one that had the government to go into the U.S. Treasury and extract taxpayer-funded money to fund these projects. Who were those people? Who are those people who were signing all of those fraudulent government contracts to do research on shrimp running on treadmills? This is Black Logic.